Yeah. So it's recording?
I am Eve's husband, so brother-in-law to both of these fine people. And 14 years ago, and really just a couple of miles away from here, Eve and I got married. And so I know a little bit about marriage, and I in particular know a little about being married to Pearlmans. And so I had some things to share about both those things. Marriage is, there's the easy parts, there's the fun, there's the joy, there's the hard parts, there's the conflict. And I want to share just something that I've learned through my marriage with Eve that I found very helpful, a couple of things. Regarding conflict. And this is probably the most important thing I've learned is knowing when you're wrong. And taking that one more step, which is knowing when to share with your partner that you know you're wrong. I found that goes a long way in resolving conflict. Now, there's also a couple of tools we've used to resolve a conflict that I want to share with you. They're particularly helpful. One is competitions that involving games of chance and feats of strength. Looking for ways to resolve conflict. Now, regarding being married to Pearlmans, I've already shared some of this with Kyla, and I bet Connie could elaborate on some of these things, maybe could list some things that I've missed. You may have been informed that this was a casual dress event, but that can't be, because if it were, then Ben would still have on the soccer shoes that many of the Pearlmans wear for not just casual events, but for semi-formal events also. I've also learned that from Pearlmans that Elihu knows a couple dozen words for horse-drawn carriage that mean horse-drawn carriage. And more than that? And speaking of language, I think you already figured out there was a reference to Shakespeare earlier. It is okay to misquote Shakespeare. That is to the joy of many and the chagrin of one, if you do that. And then I wanted to tell a story from last year. This is about our kids. Last year we took a big step. Our kids went to Vermont and they flew on their own. And along the way, they flew from our house, from Bay Area to Colorado, where Ben and Kyla retrieved them and then would fly the rest of the way with them to the East Coast. And we were a little nervous about it. The first time they ever flown alone. And on the leg from Bay Area to Denver. After they arrived in Denver, we were informed that they arrived and that they'd been retrieved by their guardians. And then we got a phone call from our children. It's okay. The phone call was from our kids who were alone in a hotel room in Denver. And they talked for a while, and we didn't know what was going on. They were just asking, they wanted to say hello, and they were talking. And gradually we asked, where were Ben and Kyla? And I still don't totally understand where they were, but they were, something had to do with cars. It was a complicated car situation. But the kids were alone in the hotel room. But I know that they were okay. And I would send my kids back to Colorado again on their own to fly with these two. You can stand that. So anyway, just, the Pearlman family is just incredibly welcoming and warm. I mean, for all these years, I felt very much part of the family. And Kyle, I think you have already experienced that. You guys are a great match, and I wish you the best.